We're about to learn the strongest evidence that the Quran is the direct word of God.
If this is the best evidence for Islam, I'm even more confident than ever that Muhammad is a false prophet. The idea put forth in this video goes something like this. Premise 1, if you can't produce a literary work as good or better than the Quran, then the Quran is from God. 2, you can't produce a literary work as good or better than the Quran. 3, therefore the Quran is from God. And this is one of the worst arguments I've ever heard, as all the premises are not just wrong, they're also insane. Let's look at premise 1. Imagine I came up to you and I said, hey, Eminem's raps are from God, and if you doubt that, then just try writing one better. Van Gogh's paintings are from God. Don't believe me? Just try painting one that's more beautiful. Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington is from God. If you don't believe me, just try cooking one better. This is clearly a stupid argument. Even if it was the case that nobody could write something as good as the Quran, it wouldn't mean it's from God. It would just mean out of all the people who have arranged words in sentences, Muhammad was the best. Let's look at premise 2. This is also clearly false, as I can think of lots of literary works that are better than the Quran. Psalm 23, Ezekiel 37, the Sermon on the Mount, the Book of Dreams by George MacDonald are all more beautiful to me than the Quran. And if you try to object and say, oh no, the Quran is better, my question is, by what standard? What's your measuring stick for saying the Quran is more beautiful than these other works? Remember, in this scenario, Allah is speaking to the doubters, that's me, and he's saying, try to bring forth something better. The idea here is that I'm supposed to try and fail, and through this effort come to see the light. But it's pretty clear that the Sermon on the Mount is more beautiful than Surah 108. Also, you can't object and say, oh, well, you were reading in English, not Arabic, because one, if this test only works in one language, it's a pretty crappy test, and I don't understand why you expect us English speakers to be convinced by it. 2, even the people who heard Muhammad speaking the Quran in Arabic didn't think nothing else could be produced like it. They say as much in Surah 831. And 3, even many Arabic scholars say the Quran is a grammatical mess. Gerd Puin, who is an expert and lecturer on Arabic orthography, remarks in an article in The Atlantic saying, the Quran claims for itself that it is clear, but if you look at it, you will notice that every 5th sentence or so simply doesn't make sense. Many Muslims will tell you otherwise, of course, but the fact is that a 5th of the Quranic text is just incomprehensible. Ali Dashti, in one of his works, says, quote, the Quran contains sentences which are incomplete and not fully intelligible without the aid of commentaries. Foreign words, unfamiliar Arabic words, and words used other than normal meaning. Adjectives and verbs inflected without observance of the concords of gender and number. Illogically and ungrammatically applied pronouns which sometimes have no referent, and predicates which in rhymed passages are often remote from the subjects. These and other such aberrations in the language have given scope to critics who deny the Quran's eloquence, end quote. This type of statement from scholars is not uncommon once you leave the propaganda-filled bubble of what your sheikhs and imams tells you. In conclusion, this argument is garbage, but Muslims can't admit that it's garbage because supposedly Allah is the one who made it, so they have to say it's the strongest. I'll say this in closing. To my Muslim friends, please, by all means, keep saying this is the strongest argument for the Quran. In doing so, you're doing half my work for me.